E&O insurance, I hate talking about this in an orientation video, but if you were to ever leave us, first of all, we hope you don't leave us. If you do, before you leave us, please come to us and let us know what it is that you feel you're not receiving from us so we can find a way to make your experience better, perhaps provide services that you're not getting, or just help you with your decision to stay here. If you do leave us, we hope you come back. But if you do leave us, just to let you know, E&O insurance is non-refundable and it's not prorated. We're not trying to be mean, but the reason that we do that is we as a company and as a broker, we still incur liability for your actions while you were here with us. So we still might have to use that E&O insurance on your behalf, even if you are no longer with us. Okay, FMLS, everyone's favorite topic. So MX1, Greater Atlanta, both the Realty and the Realtor companies are members of FMLS as well as being members of Georgia MLS. So the rules for FMLS state that if an exclusive listing agreement is signed, the property is in a compulsory area, then the property must be listed in FMLS and FMLS is due a fee. Our membership agreement with Georgia MLS states that if a property is listed in FMLS, it must also be listed in Georgia MLS. So we adhere to those rules. The issue is if you are in a fast market where you put a sign in the yard and you're getting a contract on it prior to you're having a chance to put it in FMLS, you still need to list it in FMLS, and we still need to collect FMLS fees for that property. Conversely, because of the FMLS rules, if you are representing a buyer and you are not the listing agent responsible for putting a listing in FMLS, and let's say your buyer finds that property not through FMLS, but through driving by or a sign in the yard, if you find that property and it's not in FMLS, we still might take FMLS fees, and this is how we make the determination. Again, based on FMLS's policy, what we do is we look at the purchase and sale agreement. If on the purchase and sale agreement under the agency section, now again, in this situation, we represent the buyer. On that agency section, if it says that the listing broker has a client relationship with the seller, that means that they have signed an exclusive listing agreement with that seller. Now, they could have signed an open listing agreement, but chances are they've signed a listing agreement with that seller. If they have signed a listing agreement with that seller, that company is a member of FMLS, which we can look that up. So there are some smaller companies that are not, but we would determine. So it indicates that there is a client relationship, indicates a listing agreement has been signed. We look up to see if that brokerage is a member of FMLS, and we look to see if that property is in a compulsory area. If those three items are true, then regardless of if you found an FMLS or not, MX1 is going to take an FMLS fee, and we're going to pay FMLS. Now, additionally, we will also send in the FMLS 117 and 118, so FMLS will then in turn contact the listing broker. But again, we are a member of FMLS. We adhere to their membership rules. You guys, this really is in your best interest as well. Number one, check with your CPA and accountant regarding the taxes and what you can do with those FMLS fees regarding writing them off of your taxes. Again, I'm not an accountant or CPA. Please check with your tax preparer for that information. But in an increasing market where buyers and sellers are agreeing to higher prices, but the appraisals are potentially coming in lower because the appraisers are using past data, especially with cash deals, if you guys are not putting these transactions in FMLS, you're hurting yourself with appraisal issues. Now, appraisers also look at other public data regarding transactions, but appraisers also look at FMLS and Georgia MLS. And if you're not putting your listings in there, especially again on a cash deal when it's selling quick, selling for a higher price, that data is not available to an appraiser to use to appraise your new deal. So then you're fighting with the appraiser about the market and the increasing market. So number one, it's going to help you with appraisal issues. Number two, it is going to help you with your own statistics and your company's statistics so that down the road in a few months, you can go back and you can say, yes, my average days on market is 5 or 2 versus my average days on market showing in statistically in FMLS might show something longer. And you can say, yeah, but I also sold a house in a few hours. I also sold a house in a couple of days. Well, you're not going to have the statistics to back that up. Or the company, if somebody has an issue with the company, you're going to have all these company statistics. So it truly is in your best interest to support FMLS and Georgia MLS. Additionally, when you guys are looking for properties for your buyers, where do you guys go? Are you going to the MLS services, or are you guys looking on Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, and some of the other third-party online sites? Just a thought. So just wanted to let you know about that. HUD, we are HUD bidders. HUD bidders. We're registered for you to make bids on HUD properties for your clients. You must register yourself through HUDHomestore.com. We have separate information on that. You do have broker permission to sign your HUD contracts, and those permission letters are available, you guessed it, in the reference section of Paperless Pipeline. Additionally, MXGA, Maximum on Realty Greater Atlanta, is a HUD listing broker, and if you are an agent in that company, you are prohibited from buying a HUD home for yourself. If you see a HUD home you want to buy, please get with us. We have a way that we can help you guys around that. Getting paid at Maximum One. Okay, this is a good one. So to get paid, you can get paid by 2 methods. You can get paid traditionally, or you can get paid through being paid at the closing table, which we call a DA, which stands for Disbursement Authorization. So if you get paid traditionally, what happens is you go to closing, the closing attorney will write 1 check payable to Maximum One, and you will turn in that check into a branch, one of the Greater Atlanta branches. You will upload a copy of the closing statement into your transaction in Paperless Pipeline, and then you will receive your commission via direct deposit. It will automatically appear in your bank account. That's a good day. The other way you may get paid is may get paid at the closing table. In order to get paid via a DA or at the closing table, you must complete a disbursement authorization request. You know where the form is. Yes, it's in the reference section of Paperless Pipeline. Again, it's also in RDocs and FMLS so that you can fill it out electronically. Now, in order for us to pay you at the closing table, your file must be complete and compliant in Paperless Pipeline. So when you when you log into that transaction in Pipeline, you will look on the left-hand side. I'm not sure which way it's going to show. You'll look on the left-hand side for the checklist, and if all the items are checked, then you will receive the DA approval. If everything is not, you'll see what you are missing in order for us to give you the DA. DA requests must be in at least 72 hours prior to your closing. If there are any revisions, so for example, if the buyers and the sellers do an amendment and change something that's going to change your commission, you must upload a revised DA request, and those must be uploaded 24 hours prior to your closing. We do our best if you have any revisions shorter than 24 hours, but the policy is any revisions must be 24 hours prior to your closing if there's any changes. If a DA doesn't get approved because the change is not made within the time frame, you'll just get paid traditionally. So if you have a DA and it is approved, what happens is you'll get an email with your DA approval. We also send that information to the closing attorney. So it's very important we have the closing attorney's mailing address for the pre-closure so we can send the permission to the closing attorney or the pre-closure to pay you at closing. Now, if we are holding earnest money, you need to come to the branch to pick up the earnest money to take with you to closing. The reason we do this is the maximum one portion of the fees is typically way less than what your commission is. So on the DA request, you'll see there is a place for you to pick up what branch. So your home branch might be at the West Cobb office, but your closing is with an attorney up in Woodstock. So you absolutely may request that the earnest money be released to you at the Woodstock branch. So what happens is we will cut a check payable to the closing attorney to the Woodstock branch. You must go by that branch, you pick up that earnest money check, and you take it to closing with you. It's payable to the closing attorney. Then at closing, you close, everybody hugs, everybody exchanges keys, wonderful day. You will receive 2 checks. You will receive 1 check payable to you for your commission that you can then leave and go to the bank and deposit. You will also receive another check payable to Maximum One. The Maximum One check will contain the transaction fee, the franchise fee, the FMLS fee, and any other agent fees. If you owe any agent fees and we're late in paying your agent bill, we will take those fees from your commission. Please note, taking fees from your commission is not an acceptable way to pay your agent bill, but if you are behind in anything, we will take those fees. So then what you do is you go to the bank and you deposit your check. Then you drop off the Maximum One check at any Greater Atlanta branch. It will be deposited. Also, you will get a copy of the closing statement. You must upload that closing statement into the transaction in Paperless Pipeline. Again, we need that to totally close out your file. Maximum One paying you at the closing table for your commissions. We absolutely love to do that. Please know it is a privilege, however. If you abuse that privilege by not sending us the closing statements or not turning in our portion of the checks repeatedly or for an extended period of time, please know that we might suspend your DA privileges for a while because we do, you guys and us, we do have compliance with the Real Estate Commission. We have license laws we must adhere to as well. So that's how you get paid at closing. Okay, ready? In-house transactions at Maximum One. If you are sharing commission with, okay, there's a couple of different ways to look at this. If you're doing a deal with another Maximum One agent that's in-house, if it's with another franchise, that's handled just like you would be doing a deal with another brokerage that's not a Maximum One franchise. If you're doing an in-house deal, then, like for example, if you're on the buy side and they're on the sell side, or vice versa, there's a couple of things to look at. If you guys are both in the same company, meaning if you're both Realtors or both Realty, so you're an MXGR, they're an MXGR, or you're an MXGA and they're in MXGA. If that is the case and you're each getting 100% of your side of the commission, we do give you a break on your transaction fee and on the FMLS fees. So for example, again, you're both in MXGA, you have the listing side, they have the sell side. So in other words, a designated agency situation. Then each of you pays 50% of what your transaction fee is to Maximum One and 50% of the FMLS fee. So if you're both on Plan A, instead of paying $300 for that transaction, you only pay $150 of that transaction, and the other person pays $150 of that transaction as well. Now, if you are, same thing, you have a seller, they have a buyer. If you're in MXGA and they're in MXGR, GREC, FMLS, and Georgia MLS do look at those companies as completely separate companies. So it will be 100% of your transaction fee, 100% of their transaction fee, 100% of FMLS, 100% of FMLS. So if you are sharing a transaction, so you're both on one side. So let's say it's another brokerage that's on the list side, just for example, and you and another Maximum One agent are on the buy side. Or if you get a deal and you refer it to another Maximum One agent, so forth and so on. The way you split the gross commission, the percentage you split it. Let's say you split it 70-30. We take that gross percentage of split and we run that down through the transaction. So, for example, if you're taking 70 and you're giving the other agent 30%, first thing you need to do is you must sign a commission share agreement. We have got to have your signatures in writing agreeing to the percent split of the gross commission. Those forms are available, yes, in the reference section of Paperless Pipeline and also in RDocs and FMLS. So you must agree to that in writing. We must have both agents' permission on how to split that gross percentage of the commission. So let's say it's a 70-30, you're getting the 70%. When you turn that in, the way we pay, that if you're on plan A, if you're paying $300 a transaction, instead of paying $300 a transaction, you will pay 70% of your transaction fee, or $210, and you would pay 70% of whatever the FMLS fee is. If you're on the 30%, then your transaction fee, if you're normally pay $300, would only be $90, and you pay 30% of the FMLS fee. There are other scenarios all written out for you, and if you look in the policy manual, all of that is contained in the section that says in-house transactions, maximum 1 transaction fees, and FMLS fees. Let's see what else. Power of attorney. Maximum 1 does not allow you to accept power of attorney for a client. That client is going to have to give power of attorney to someone else, a neighbor, a loved one, a friend, a family member, but you as an agent may not take power of attorney for your client. Number 1, you become a principal in the deal and you have no E&O coverage, and we do not allow it. Dual agency, maximum 1 does not allow dual agency. You may have both sides of a deal, but we do not allow dual agency. Dual agency, as you know, is 1 broker, 1 agent. That agent has a client relationship with both the seller and the buyer. But having both sides of the deal is not necessarily dual agency. You could have a listing agreement, and you would have agency with the seller. You get a sign call. We do allow you to work with that buyer as a customer. That buyer would have to sign a customer acknowledgement. Is it tricky? Absolutely. You may talk to another agent about representing that buyer for do it for a referral fee. So take a look at those issues. Something else on that. Marketing and advertising per GREC. All marketing must be in the name of the broker, under the direct supervision of the broker, not misleading or guiding. And then there are very specific requirements if you are marketing a specific property or just marketing yourself. Online, basically the easiest way to think about online marketing and the GREC license laws regarding marketing and advertising. For your agent website, the broker name and the broker phone number must be visible on every single page of that agent of your website. It must be on the home page, the about page, any pages you have on your agent website. You must have the broker name and, not the actual person, but the brokerage name and the phone number prominently displayed. Other social media type of advertising, summary of what the correct law is that the public must be 1 click away from getting somewhere that is in full-blown compliance. So, for example, if you're marketing a property on Facebook and you put that listing on Facebook and you put information about that, that might not be in full-blown GREC compliance, but you must have a link to either the Maximum 1 website or your own website or somewhere else that's 1 link away, and when the public clicks on that link, they get to somewhere else online that is in full-blown compliance with GREC. Again, I already mentioned this. We have an affiliated business disclosure that we require all of our clients and customers to sign. Does not necessarily need to be part of the contract, because your co-op agent, their firm is going to have different affiliated business relationships. So it doesn't have to be part of the contract, but we need our clients and customers to sign it. If you are in the realtor side of the company, MXGR, part of your NAR membership is a requirement to take an ethics course every 2 years. The cycle's changed beginning in January of 2017. So you have from January of 2017 till December 31st, 2018 to take that ethics class, and then it runs on 2-year cycles from then. Property management, we do not allow you to practice property management for the public. Providing documents to the public upon request, we do not release our confidential client files to anybody upon request, including attorneys. So if you have an attorney that says, I need a copy of your contract, now the buyer and the seller may release their copies because obviously you're going to give them a copy of everything they sign. MXGA does not, unless we receive a court order signed by a judge. We also require, if you are working with the public as a customer, well, if you're working with the public as a client, license law requires that you have that agency agreement signed. In other words, listing agreement signed or buyer brokerage agreement signed. So obviously MXGA's policy goes along with license law. There is no license law regarding anything being signed by a customer. However, MXGA's policy is your public must sign something. So if you are working with the public as a customer, our policy is they must sign those customer agreements. So if you are working with the buyer as a customer, the GAR form is GAR F6, Agreement to Work with Customer. You must have your buyer customer sign that. The RE form is RE 159, Acknowledgement of Customer. Your customer must sign that. If you are working with a seller as a customer, then the GAR form is F3, Authorization to Show Unlisted Property. And the public seller who is a customer must sign that. And the RE form is RE 158, Seller Authorization to Show Property Without a Listing. I talked about this a little bit at the beginning, agent as principal. If you are a buyer, seller, landlord, or tenant, we require that you write up your own contract, agent as principal, on either a GAR form or an RE form. Service recommendations, I have already talked about that. 72-hour rule for submission of contracts. There is a late fee if you do not do that. You guys, again, we don't do this to punish you. But number one, you must turn in contracts to the broker. Number two, we have to have those contracts in order to communicate with co-op agents or clients. If, for example, something were to happen to you, well, let's not make it negative. Let's say you go on vacation and you don't inform us who you have looking out for your business, and we get a call from a co-op broker, co-op client, or your client. If we don't have any paperwork, we don't have any way of communicating with them regarding that transaction. Plus, it's our policy. So 72 hours or you will get fined on that. If you do transfer between MXGR and MXGA or Greater Atlanta, one of the other franchises, let me talk about GR/GA. This happens when board dues become due. If you choose to leave a board or if you choose to join a board. Please know that, again, these are separate companies on paper. So if you are switching within Greater Atlanta from Greater Atlanta Realtors to Greater Atlanta Realty, then we must have you sign, we must exit you from one company and affiliate you with the other company. So there will be a new independent contractor agreement for you to sign. If you have any active listings, you will have to transfer those from, in FMLS and Georgia MLS from broker code MXGA 01 to MXGR 01 and so forth and so on. W-9 tax forms, if you are doing a lease co-op or referral, or there's other situations where you will need the W-9 tax ID form. For Maximum One, for both of those companies, they're available in the reference section of Paperless Pipeline. And if Maximum One is paying, let's say, especially this occurs frequently on a lease co-op. Let's say we have the landlord and we have to, so it's not going to go to a closing, so it's not going to be paid out by a closing attorney, but we need to pay a co-op broker their fee for placing a tenant. And before we're able to pay out that fee, we will need a copy of that broker's W-9 form. Waiving your commission, I've already talked about that. And I believe that is it. Again, there are many other policies in the policy manual as well as in the documents that you signed when you came on board with us regarding policies. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I know it's a ton of information, but we welcome you so much at Maximum One. We are all here to help you and just wanted to walk you through some of the policies that you have agreed to. Also, it is your responsibility to keep up with the current policies of Maximum One. Any policy changes will be announced in the newsletter email that comes out to you this week at Maximum One. This is so vital that you make sure that you are receiving this. If you're not, please get with your branch CEO advisor so we can make sure to find out why you're not getting this email. Additionally, the policy manual, all of the manuals are located on the reference section of Paperless Pipeline and in the workroom of your branch. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy. Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors and managing broker of Maximum One Realty Greater Atlanta, satisfying your needs with service, innovation, and education.